Are you single and waiting for Mr. Right? Are you in a relationship but still not quite sure if he's the one? Are you married and sometimes wondering if you've made the right decision? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this podcast is for you. I am your host, Sharon Tillman, and welcome to the He's Worth the Wait podcast. This podcast is to promote healthy, whole relationships and to educate you on how to produce the very best version of yourself so you can meet the very best version of the one who has been chosen for you. Go with me as I share my story, as I share my journey, as I share my truth and my testimony while inspiring, uplifting, and encouraging you to know that He is worth the wait. Let's talk. Hello. Welcome to another episode of He's Worth the Wait podcast. I am your host, Sharon Tillman. I hope everyone's having an amazing Friday today. We're going to jump right into our subject. So we're going to title this podcast tonight, Self-Worth. And we're going to talk about, just really knowing our worth and knowing our value. And the importance of it, right? Just really understanding the importance of knowing who we are, knowing what our value is, what our worth is, knowing that we're worthy of love, we're worthy of companionship, we're worthy of being treated fairly, we're worthy of these things, right? So I really want to just talk briefly tonight. This probably won't be a long podcast tonight. And y'all heard me say probably because y'all know I like to talk. So in my mind, it's not going to be long. But then if I get carried away, it could be like a normal lengthy episode. So y'all bear with me tonight. I kind of feel like a preacher tonight, just in the sense of time. You know how preachers always say, give me 5 more minutes, and 5 more minutes turn into like 15, 20. Yeah, I got that on tonight. But I really want to be brief tonight. I really just want to talk from the importance of our self-worth and like really understanding who you are, like really understanding the value. Way too often we find ourselves in situations that really diminish our value. It really diminishes, our self-worth. It diminishes our confidence and knowing who we are, no matter what the situation in your life. I was having a conversation on tonight and literally just speaking within the conversation, just from what they were going through. And it was like, so we have all kinds of relationships in our life. We have parental relationships. We have friendly relationships. We've got family relationships. We've got spousal relationships. We have boyfriend and girlfriend relationships. We have engagement relationships. We've got work relationships. We have, church family relationships. Like everything that we do in life really revolves around some type of relationship, right? So even in the relationship, as I'm having the conversation tonight, and I'm listening, the first thing that came to me to say back, which was God all day, was don't allow the way they treat you to diminish your value. Don't allow it to diminish how you feel about yourself. And a lot of times, and it hit me hard, right? Because I'm so relatable. I'm so relatable in the space of I've been there before, right? I've been there before. I can think of times in my life. I can think of times throughout my entire journey of life, not just in my marriage. Throughout my entire journey of life where I felt that my value was diminished based upon how someone else viewed me or what someone else thought about me. I could even go back to my parental relationship, my foundational love with my parents, and my parents not valuing me in my eyes because they weren't there. We didn't have this. I didn't grow up in a 2-parent home where my parents were there and they were present. That wasn't my life. And so from a young girl, the value that I placed on myself was very low, because in my mind, it's like, okay, your parents aren't here. So you're already coming lacking what a lot of people have, or I didn't have this growing up, or I didn't have that growing up. I went through things in my childhood. I went through molestation in my childhood. All of these things diminished my value. It made me feel unworthy of love. It made me feel unworthy of feeling like I could ever set an expectation or set a standard for anyone. It would give you the placement of feeling like whomever will love me at whatever capacity that they're willing to give, I'll be willing to accept, because I'm devalued, or my value has been diminished. Excuse me. My value has been diminished. And so because of that, I don't feel like I'm worthy of love. So I want to read the definition to you guys of self-worth. So I'm going to read this definition right quick, and then I'm going to jump right back in. So when we're talking about self-worth, self-worth is the internal sense of being good enough and worthy of love and belonging from others. Self-worth is often confused with self-esteem, which relies on external factors such as successes and achievements to really define worth, and can often be inconsistent, leading to someone struggling with feeling worthy. So self-worth is the internal sense of being good enough and worthy of love and belonging from others. So whenever you're really thinking about self-worth, you're thinking about your value. You're thinking about how you view yourself. How you view yourself is how others are going to view you. This is how others are going to view you. What we don't realize is we set the standard of self-worth by the way that we see ourselves, by the way that we value ourselves, by the way that we take care of ourselves. And so when we don't know exactly what we're worth, when we don't feel worthy, when we don't feel worth it, when we don't feel like we deserve certain things because of certain things that have happened in our life, certain things that we've experienced, certain things that we've been through, or just not being confident in who you are. I know the two, they go hand in hand in the same, although they are different, right? Because you can be confident in who you are based on the things that you have. A lot of times people find value in the things that they possess, but they don't find value in who they are. Let me say that again. People can sometimes find value in the things that they possess, but they don't find value in who they are. So you will see people who've got really nice houses and really nice cars, and they've got really nice purses, really nice shoes. They've got really nice chains. And I'm just trying to throw some things out there, tangible things, right? So you've got people who have these things, and because of that, they feel like they are valued because of the things that they possess. Oh, these are the things that I possess. So you value me because it's like you're putting a value on their pockets. You're putting a value on how much money they have in their bank account or something of that nature. But if you strip all of those things away, you take all of these tangible items away, they don't value who they are. So you find people who are constantly trying to cover up the value that they feel within themselves with other things. We do this so often. So often do we find ourselves feeling devalued, and because of that, we don't set a standard. We don't set bars. We allow people to treat us in any kind of way. And when you finally get to that place of self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, when you get to that place of really knowing, and these are like components, right? So I was doing a little research on it, and these are like components. There are like 4 components to knowing like who you are. The self-esteem, the self-confidence, the self-worth. It might have been like self-resilience, if I'm not mistaken. Character. All of these things really play a part, right? So whenever we're finding ourselves finally coming into the place of knowing who we are, coming into that place of our self-esteem, our self-worth, and our self-confidence, and we look back on the way that we've allowed people to treat us, and then we feel small because it's like, wow, I didn't realize all of the things that I lacked when I allowed that to take place in my life. So for me, I can see it on a lot of different levels. I gave the example of my foundational love and how I felt devalued there. But I can go a step further, even in the way that I allow people to treat me. When I was younger and in my teenage years, in my adult years, I allowed people to mishandle me a lot because I didn't feel like it, when your self-esteem is low, when you feel unworthy, a lot of times you allow people to do things because you just want people to be around. So for me, I allowed people to mishandle me for years because I didn't feel worthy enough to stand up for myself. I didn't feel worthy enough to say that's not okay. I didn't feel worthy enough to demand exactly what it was that I know that I needed, what it was that I knew that I desired. And so this happens to a lot of us, not just me. And I know there are some other people who are experiencing it. And so I really want to help us tonight. But even in the way that I allow people to mishandle me, I can remember even on jobs, I would take things from people on jobs because I felt like I need the money. I need my job. So like, it's all good. I'll just suck it up. And I might talk junk when I leave, right? Because that's what we do. But when it comes to like standing in that moment and really standing for yourself, I didn't have that because I really lacked that worth and that confidence that I needed in order to know that I deserved better. So we would take things, and then I can keep going even into my marriage and how many years I was in my marriage and I knew that I needed more. I knew that I desired more. I knew that I deserved more. But how often do we just take things because we feel like we have to, because we feel like we don't have a choice? Listen, it is so imperative for us to know exactly who we are. We live in a culture, we live in a society today where people are literally asking women, especially, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? Like what? Wait, what? Say that one more time for the people in the back. At what point do we feel devalued enough to where we're allowing someone to come to us and ask us what we're bringing to the table? Like, and I know that some of you are probably like, well, wait a minute. That can be valid in certain sense because we ask men what they're bringing to the table, right? But when it comes to I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm taking care of the house, I'm taking care of the kids, I'm taking care of you. Like, how does all of that not equate to what you're bringing? How does all of that not equate? Like, how do you have the audacity to ask that when you see what I'm already giving? In a conversation that I was having, I always have the absolute best conversations. I say that a lot. In that conversation that I had really sparked this impromptu, like not really an impromptu because I had to post, but this is not what I was talking about tonight. So if you watch my podcast from last week, then you know tonight I was going to kind of piggyback off of last week's episode. And I was going to talk about really knowing who you are. So we talked about knowing who you are. So we're attaching the purpose to it and understanding that some of the things that we go through within our life, that we literally thought was here to destroy us is really what made us. This is what God used to make you. This is what God used to anoint you. This is what God used to get something to you. And so I really wanted to go there, and I'm still going to go there. So stay tuned because I'm still going to go there. But this conversation that I had on today is really what prompted me to go in this direction, because it really hurts my feelings and it hurts my heart when I see people diminishing their own value based upon how someone else treats them. It is absolutely never okay for you to diminish your own value and to not know your self-worth and allow people to run over you and to mistreat you and to handle you wrong. And you don't think that you're worthy of anything better. That hurts my feelings. And it hurts my feelings because I've been there. I know what that feels like. But one of the greatest things that God could have did for me in my life was bring me into self-awareness. One of the greatest things that God ever did was bring me into that place of knowing who I was according to Him, which allowed me to know what my worth was. God allowed me to know what my worth was. And once you know your worth, then you don't allow anyone else to diminish that. It's like somebody trying to put out your light. Oh, you're shining bright like a diamond, right? But this person is dimming your light because they're not allowing you to be your authentic self. They're telling you that there's something wrong with you the way that you are. They're diminishing your value. They're mishandling you, because they feel like you're not worthy to shine bright like this diamond. So they're turning your light out. And instead of you knowing that you are designed to shine, you're designed to be bright, you're designed to be great, you allow them to dim your light. You allow them to dim your light. And that is never okay. It's never okay for us to do that. So we have to get into that place of really knowing exactly who we are. I remember when God started to do it for me, and it was amazing for me, but it was hard at the same time, because realizing where I was and how far I had to go, it seemed like climbing up a hill. Literally, it felt like just climbing straight up a hill, no brakes, no water. Like, that's how it felt, because it's hard. It's hard for you to see yourself in those moments, in those low places. Like, it's hard for you to see yourself in what you allowed for so long. So I remember when God really started to do it for me. And I remember when He started changing the way that I saw myself, because that's where it starts. How we see ourselves is how we determine our value. And how we determine our value is how others choose to value us, because they're not going to value us no higher than we esteem ourselves. People don't come and esteem you higher than you esteem yourselves. Now, don't get me wrong. You might come into people, everybody not like that. There's some people out here will help you see the value in you. There are people out here who will speak life into you. There are people out here will help build and boost your confidence. But ultimately, there are people out here who will take advantage of the insecurities that they know that you possess. You have to be careful. You got to know what you got, especially if you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, if you're in a marriage and you're a wife or you're a girlfriend or you're a fiance, and your husband, your fiance, your boyfriend is devaluing you, it's because he sees the insecurities that you possess. If he's not trying to speak life into you, if he's not trying to build you up, if he's not trying to help you become better, if he's not trying to, this is what I always say separates the boys from the men, right? A boy is going to play on that insecurity. A boy is going to see that you don't value yourself, and he's going to meet you at the level of your value. So he's going to give you what he feels like you deserve, because he knows that you don't have a value. You don't have a high value on yourself. He knows that you lack self-confidence. He knows you lack self-worth. He knows you lack self-esteem. Like, he knows this. People don't believe that, but men be knowing, right? And so when they know, they will literally play on that. Boys, when boys know, they play on that, because men are different. When you come into a man, or you come into the space of a man, when you get to encounter a real man, he's not going to play on those insecurities. He's going to allow you to know that you are worth it, and that you are worthy, and that you are special. He's going to help build your confidence. He's going to help build you up. He's not going to tear you down. And he's definitely not going to play on an area where he knows you're weak. He's not going to do that. Not a grown man. Not a real man. He's not going to do that. So I always say this is what separates the boys from the men. So if you have a boy who's playing on your insecurity, and he's only valuing you at the level in which you're valuing yourself, you have to stop and ask yourself, what is my real value? Like, what is my real value? What is it about me that makes me feel like I'm not good enough? What is it about me that makes me feel like I'm not worthy? What is it about me that makes me feel like I don't deserve more, or I don't deserve better? Like, we can really get into like embracing your flaws, because a lot of times we look at ourselves in the mirror and we don't see anything worth having. We may be too tall. We may be too short. We may be too big. We may be too little. I wish my hair was longer. I wish my hair was shorter. I wish my hair was straighter. I wish my hair was curlier. Oh my God, I wish my hair could do what her hair does. Or I wish that, my breasts were bigger. I wish my behind was bigger. I wish that I didn't have that. We could just go into the logistics of a lot of things, right? Because ultimately, these are a lot of things that people experience. We will look in the mirror and we will critique the life out of ourselves. The life, literally. But if we don't learn how to embrace those flaws, if we don't learn how to embrace those things about us, then we can't expect our value to go up so that others can value at the level in which we deserve to be valued at. Like, we find things wrong with us, and then every time we find something wrong, we diminish our own value at times. But we can't do that either. We have to know that we're beautifully and wonderfully made. We are listen, this is what I always say, and I've always said this, when it comes to like weight and stuff like that, those are things that we can change. Now, we can't be out here changing our skin complexion, unless we finna pull a whole Michael Jackson, right? Rest in peace, King of Pop. But there's certain things that we just can't change. So you have to learn to love everything about you, even the things that you wish you could change. You got to learn how to love every part of you, every aspect of you. Once I learned how to really love everything about Sharon, listen, people think that I talk like this. People think I move like this. People think she thinks she this. When I learned to love all of those things about Sharon, it put me in a different bracket. Because ultimately, that's what we got to do. We got to learn how to love ourselves. And we got to learn how to love everything about ourselves so that we can put the value on ourselves the way that we deserve to be valued. Because it is very unfair to be in situations where people don't see our worth. And that can be jobs, relationships, all of the above. So I remember when God started to do it for me. And I remember when I was learning how to love me. Because there were things about me that I just wished were different. And then I got to the place where I was like, you know what? This is something I can change. This is something I can. I'm going to be okay with them both. I'm going to be okay with me just where I am. And if there's something that I don't like and I can change, I'm going to work at it. Right? Because that's the mindset, that's the mentality we have to have. We can sit here all day and complain about, having a few extra pounds. But if we just going to keep eating them Debbie cakes, and if we just going to keep eating that fried chicken, and we're going to keep drinking them sodas, then we can't really complain. But if we're going to work at it and we're going to strive and we're going to try to make better choices, because ultimately this is something that we want to work on, we learn how to love ourselves at the place that we're in. I am loving all of me. And when I start to shed these pounds, then that part of me that I learned to love going to be gone. But I'm still going to love all of me until it happens. I'm not going to allow anything that I feel that I don't like about myself to diminish the value that I possess. Because it's so much deeper than an external look. It's so much deeper than that. It goes way deeper than that. But that's where it starts. Because we'll look in the mirror and we won't like what we see. And then we won't feel like, because we don't like it, other people don't like it. And so when we find ourselves in a room or we find ourselves around people, we feel like they're looking at the things about us and they don't like the things about us that we don't like about ourselves. And a lot of times we kill situations before it has time to even breathe life. Literally. So it's so important for us to know exactly who we are. I remember when God started doing it for me, and I remember when I started learning to love those parts of me that were hard, right? It was parts that I struggled with, right? It was parts that, I had been called out on before. There were things that, they were like insecurities. Come on, let's be real. Let's keep it real on the podcast tonight, because ultimately this podcast is to help us be better, because he's worth the wait. We come in with our whole selves, right? And we're going to be better because of it. So I remember when God started giving me affirmations that were very selective for who I was and what I needed. I remember when God started building my confidence. I always tell people, so a lot of people tell me, they're mixed reviews, right? So you got people who don't really know me, but they'll see me and because I'm always well put together, because that's just who I am, that they'll say things like, oh, she think it's all about her. Oh my God, who is that? But people who know me know I'm super cool. I'm super down to earth. I'm not arrogant at all. I'm just confident. And it wasn't anything that I did. It was all God. Like when I say that God literally built the confidence in me, it was all God, because I lacked it all. I had none of it. If you would have met me 15 years ago, you wouldn't even believe that this is the same person. I had nobody's confidence. I was the one that would shrink around people that I felt like were better than me. I would shrink around people who didn't think that I needed to be in the room. I would shrink around people who didn't like something that I did or something that I said. Literally. But the boldness and the confidence that I possess today was all God. It was literally all Him, which was able to change the whole trajectory of my entire being. Because once God did this thing for me and He started giving me affirmations, God started speaking life into me. Literally, God speaking life into me. Because I wasn't like that. I wasn't like your average girl. I didn't have people constantly praying over me, speaking life into me, telling me that I was going to make it, telling me that I could be anything that I wanted to be. I didn't grow up like that. And I didn't have that in my childhood. I didn't have that in my teens. I didn't have that in parts of my adulthood. I didn't have that in parts of my marriage. I didn't have that. So God knew exactly what I needed and what He had to do for me. So I'm here to encourage somebody, because I know it's somebody out there who's listening and they're like, listen, I don't have family like that. My mom and dad not saved. Or, my husband's not saved. Or my wife, she don't know how to do that. Whatever the case may be, whoever you are, I'm telling you, God will do it for you. Just as He did it for me. He will do it for you. But you got to surrender it to Him. And you can't play with it. You got to give it to Him for real. Because what He gives you, you're going to be able to take it, and it's going to make you who you are. So when God was doing it for me, and I could feel the shift. I could literally feel the shift. I could feel the change. I started really gaining a confidence, and I didn't even know where it came from. I wasn't loud with it. I wasn't proud with it. I didn't need to be in the room, as far as like, I didn't need the attention in the room. I didn't have to walk into the room and kind of bounce around from person to person for people to know that I was there. I didn't have to do that. I could literally walk in the room and grasp the attention of the room. That wasn't me, y'all. And so when I felt these shifts and I felt this change, everything in my life was shifting. I was no longer allowing people to mishandle me. And it was hard for the people who had been mishandling me for so many years. Because all they knew how to do was value me at the level in which I was allowing them to value me. All they knew how to do was value me at the level in which I was valuing myself. But when my value went up, they had to come up with the value. And so they were still trying to value me at that previous level, but I was no longer there. And so this is how you find out who's really supposed to be in your life. Because when you got people in your life and they see that you lack confidence and self-esteem and you lack self-worth and they're comfortable with you there, you got to watch them. Watch those people who are comfortable with you at your lowest. Watch those people who are comfortable with you and they're not trying to help you go where you're supposed to go. Be who you're supposed to be. Just watch those people. I want you to take a good look at your circle. Just take a good look at your circle and think about the people who are a part of your life. Think about the people who value you at the level in which you're on. Will these people value you if your level goes up? I'm just saying, this is how we really determine who's supposed to be in our life. So I remember when I started demanding more, even on my job, I was demanding more. I was no longer allowing people to mistreat me. I was no longer allowing people to talk to me as if I was nothing or nobody. My value went up. My self-worth went up. My self-confidence went up. I was no longer just her. I am Sharon Tillman. Everything shifted, even in my marriage, because I realized that I needed to demand more, even in my marriage. My value went up, and I need you to see that, and I need you to come up to that value. So I'm saying all of this to say, we have to make sure that we know exactly who we are, exactly who we've been called to be, and the value and the worth that we possess, because we teach people how to treat us. And if we don't show people that we're worth the standards, we're worth the expectations. Listen, even in my conversation today, I remember saying to this said individual, I said, my value and my worthiness, right? There's a level that you have to come to in order to get that kind of access to me. You can't fake that kind of level. You can't fake it. You got to really hit that level in order to get access to me. Because a lot of times we give access too freely. And this is how people get to know our insecurities and our weaknesses, because we give everybody access. We got to learn that everybody doesn't deserve access to every part of you. There are certain parts of you that people need to earn access to. We can't just be given access away. So I remember saying to this said individual, I was like, listen, I want you to know who you are. And I want you to know what your worth is. And don't allow anyone to diminish your value. Don't allow anybody to do that. And if they can't meet you at the place in which you need to be, if they can't meet you when your value goes up, then you got to be confident enough to walk away and be okay with that. You got to be confident enough to leave them where they are and be okay with that. Because a lot of times we'll stick it out in certain things because we don't know our worth and value. But then we'll stick it out in certain things because we don't think we deserve more. And we'll stick it out in certain things because, we're hoping to change dynamics here and there. But ultimately, the way you allow a person to treat you says a lot about who you are and how you value yourself. And so on this podcast tonight, I really want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to be all that God has created you to be. I want you to be encouraged to go deep within. Be okay to be self-aware to those things that are on the inside, right? Call them out. I lack confidence here. I lack confidence there. Because of this, I sometimes don't feel like I deserve to be loved, or I feel worthy of love. Whatever your thing is, or your things, whatever it is, speak it out. Go to your Father. Go to your Creator who knows you better than you know yourself. Speak these things out to Him and allow Him to do everything else. Allow Him to do the work. Allow Him to make you better. Allow Him to build your confidence, to build your self-esteem, to build your self-worth. Allow him to show you exactly who you are and who you've been called to be according to him. Allow him to do those things in your life. Because I promise you, if you allow him, he'll do it. And he'll take it a step further. So we can have confidence within ourselves, but like ultimately that can be inconsistent. But if you allow God to put the confidence there, then God's confidence can't be inconsistent. Because God, your value will never change for God. He knows exactly who you are, who he's called you to be. He knows what your value is. He knows what you're deserving. He's never diminishing that. So even if you operate under the value, his value for you stays the same. His standard for you stays the same. So you're operating under, but he's still up here. So let's allow God to bring us to the level in which he is. Let's allow him to build something within us. Let's allow him to see us the way that he sees us. To show us what it is that makes us valuable. What it is that makes us worthy. What it is that makes us worth it. Allow God to fill those empty places on the inside. Allow God to fill those voided places on the inside so that it'll build your confidence. It'll build your self-esteem and it'll build your self-worth. Allow God to do what only God can do. Listen, we can be confident in the things that we possessed. We can be confident in our nice cars and our nice houses and our nice bags. We can be confident in our, bank accounts. We can be confident in all of those things. But ultimately, if we lose it or if it's gone away, what's left? The real value, please stand up. The real value. Because I'm confident in the car, but when the car is gone, am I valuable? Or do I feel unworthy or less valuable because I don't have the car anymore? We have to take our value and our confidence out of the things that we possess, out of the tangible things that are in our lives or a part of our lives. And we have to get deep within the value of who we are according to Christ. Who we are according to who God says that we are. Who we are according to what God says about us. Who we are according to the plan, the purpose, and the destiny that God had already formed before we were in our mother's womb for us. How do we get to that place? Help us to get to that place. Help us, Lord, to get to that place. I promise you, I can promise you, if you allow him to do it, he'll do it. I can guarantee that. And I can guarantee it because I know that he did it for me. I know that he'll do it for you because he did it for me. God did that thing for me. It wasn't anything that I did. It was all God. It wasn't anything that I possessed. It was all God. And when God brought my value up and he allowed me to really see and know who I was according to him, even in this dating stage or dating phase in my life right now, there are certain people who won't get access to me. Nobody just gains access to Sharon. That's not how it works. Because I know my worth and I know my value. And I know what I possess. And I know what I bring to the table. And it's not about my finances that I'm bringing to the table. It has nothing to do with the dollar sign that I can bring to the table. I know who I am. I know what I bring to any given situation. I know what I bring to any relationship. I know what I bring to marriage. I know what I bring to family. I know what I possess. And because I know this, I know my value and I know my worth. And I'm not giving it to anybody. I can't just give it away to anybody. So I want you guys to be encouraged tonight. I want you guys to be encouraged. I want you to really think about this. I really want this podcast to be one that really sits with you. I want it to sit with you. And I want you to really think about your value. I want you to think about your worth. I want you to think about where you value yourself at right now. Where do you value yourself at? What level? How do you value yourself right now? Is it based on how people treat you? Is it based on what you possess? What is your value to you based upon right now? And how do we bring that value up to where God has designed for it to be? I always say that, when you come to people like that, whenever you are demanding more, then, it's fewer crabs in the barrel. I'm always trying to come up with an analogy, right? It's fewer crabs in the barrel when you're demanding more. Because, when you're thinking about the crabs in the barrel, most of the crabs in the barrel stay down low, right? But you got those few crabs that kind of make it to the top. But if you're lower, you got way more options on the crabs. But the higher you go, the options are fewer. It's not a lot of options, really, once you go higher. And even in that, I want you to be okay with that. And I say that because a lot of times we're valued based on who we think is coming after us. We're valued based on who we think values us. But I want you to be valued even if nobody else sees your value. Just because they don't acknowledge it doesn't mean they don't see it. But you still set your standard. You still set your expectations, and you still make people reach that expectation. And listen, when I say set expectations, you have to put things out here when you're talking to people of culture nowadays. And it's like people will really take that expectations and that standard word and they'll take it and jump off the cliff with it. It's not that deep. When I'm speaking of that, it's not like we're setting these unrealistic standards, unrealistic expectations that no one can reach. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is the access that I gave to you when I was at the bottom of the crab barrel is not the access that you get to me at this level. You've got to earn access to me at this level. You got to show me what you're bringing as far as valuing me on the level in which I value myself or exceeding that. You can't diminish my value, and you definitely can't value me lower than I value myself. That's what that means. I just wanted to put that out there. But I want you guys to know the importance of knowing your value, knowing your self-worth. And listen, say it every day. Say it. I am so big on affirmations, and I know a lot of people critique affirmations, but I am really big on speaking things out of your mouth. I absolutely believe without question, doubt, and fail that we shape the world that we live in by the words that come out of our mouth, because Proverbs lets us know that our words have power. Proverbs 18, if I'm not mistaken, lets us know that our words have power. So it's important for us to know that everything comes out of our mouth has power. We give life to everything that we say. So if I am saying I am worthy, I am worth it, I am valuable every single day, guess what we're doing? We're giving it power. If we talk about our self-esteem and our self-worth and our self-confidence every day, I have self-confidence, I have self-worth, I have self-esteem. Guess what we're doing? We're giving it power. I am a firm believer in speaking out of my mouth. I'm a believer of that. So I love affirmations because I believe that affirmations is helping us shape the world that we live in. It helps shape our view, changes our perspective, and we start to see what we're speaking versus seeing sometimes what's there. Like we shape our world. I'm a firm believer in that. So if you need to keep repeating it daily, if you need to put a Post-it on your bathroom mirror so that you can remind yourself every day, if you need to put it on an index card so that you can remind yourself every day, you do whatever it is that you need to do in order to remind yourself every day that you are worth it, sis. You are worth it. You are worthy. You are valued. You have self-esteem, you have self-confidence, you have self-worth. You are amazing. You keep telling yourself that every day until that thing resonates in your spirit. Don't let anybody make you feel that you're not worth it. And don't make anybody feel like what your process or what you need to do in order to get to the place where you need to be. Don't let nobody diminish your process either. You are worth it. You are worthy. You are valuable. I need you guys to repeat that. I need you to keep saying that. I need that thing to resonate in your spirit because I need you to know, not because I said it, not because it's Sharon, because this is what God says about you. This is what God says concerning you. Live at the level in which God has placed you. Don't live beneath the level that He's placed you. Don't live beneath what God has said concerning you. Don't allow anybody to make you feel like you don't deserve to be up there. I'm telling you, when you get to the top of that barrel, everybody can't make it to the top with you. Don't hold yourself down to keep people around. Because I promise you, once you elevate up, God will send people to you on that level. You're never alone. I promise. Listen, thank you guys so much. Okay, so I did come in just a little bit shorter than the time as usual. So I'm going to kudo myself because that was still good for me. I'll take it. Few minutes, whatever, I'll take it. But listen, I hope you guys really did get something out of this podcast on tonight. I'm definitely coming back to piggyback from the one from last week, but I really wanted to talk about the self-worth and the self-esteem tonight. I really want us to really value who we are. I want us to value who we've been called to be. And I think it's important. I think relationships all over the world, the land and the country are going to change when we start to find the value in who we are, when we start to find the value in who we've been called to be. People are going to have to meet us at the place in which we are, the place in which God has called us to be. And they're not going to be able to diminish that. And because our confidence will be so great, not arrogance, there's a difference, but our confidence will be so great that we won't dim our lights for people no more. We won't do that anymore. So thank you guys so much again for tuning in to the He's Worth the Wait podcast. I am your host, Sharon Tillman. Have an amazing night.